discovering you, rewiring the brain, rebuilding confidence, and harmonizing with nature. With over 4 decades of changing lives, your self-discovery archaeologist, get ready to be the best of you with your host, Beverly Zeimet.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Beverly Zeimet Show, where being that best you has just gotten easier. My guest today, calling in from Portland, Oregon, is Dallas Piona. Did I get it?
Yes, you did.
All right. So, how are you this fine day? Because you know what? People are going to be listening from morning, afternoon, night, middle of the night, from all over. So
Yeah, I'm up and ready to go. You know, I've already been up. Well, here it's about, I don't know what time, 7 a.m. in the morning, and I've been up since 3. You know, suddenly just kind of like pop up out of bed at 3. So just crazy hours now. The older I get, it seems like I go to bed earlier, but I get up earlier. So just kind of crazy.
Nah, you got up early because you were excited to get on the show. That's what it was.
Absolutely.
You know, this is so much fun. We have a lot of fun on this show. And Dallas, this is your first time being on a show, podcasting, all this stuff. The whole world is opened up to you. You know, so why don't you share a little bit with the audience about how 2020 made a transition for you and how you got here today at this point?
A transition for me. You know, we certainly, you know, both my husband and I work from home.
Okay.
So being at home was comfortable for us. I think what we did is we decided that, you know, thank God, you know, what I discovered is I'm more in love with my husband more than ever, because there was no escape. We were definitely in the space together all the time, 24/7. I mean, we were before, but there was always a way to escape, right? You can go shopping, you can go to the grocery store, to the pharmacy, to a friend's house, you know, to this or that. There were escapes. So no longer did we have an escape, and we had to deal with each other and kind of had some breakthroughs ourselves in our relationship, just because we were kind of closed in together. But what we did, we took a lot of day trips. We got in the car and we discovered Oregon. So we would go for, you know, 8 to 10 hours. We'd get up early in the morning, get in the car, pack a lunch, snacks, get the dog in there, and we go out and discover all these nooks and crannies all over Oregon, you know, that were, you know, 3 hours away, 4 hours away. We get out and walk around, you know, but we wouldn't, you know, go into stores or anything, but we would just see the glory of this state, which is extraordinary. I mean, there's so many different, you know, I'm an hour from Portland proper, which is the city. You're an hour and a half from the ocean, which is like it's a Pacific Ocean. It's rough. You can't really swim in it unless you have a wetsuit. We're an hour and a half from the mountains. You know, you are in farmland in 20 minutes from where I live. I mean, it's just extraordinary, the beauty here. So we really discovered Oregon during this pandemic.
Wow, that's nice. I've been all over Oregon myself, and it is a beautiful state. I love going up in the gorge and going hiking up there. Oh, and the rivers and the waters and the lakes, and, you know, it is a view. It is a very, very beautiful state.
It's heaven on earth. You know, I basically spent the majority of my time in New York City. So when I came out here 13 years ago, it was just like, oh my God, heaven, here we are. This is what heaven looks like on earth. You know, it's just gorgeous. Wherever you look, wherever you drive, there is an extraordinary view.
Yeah.
So I'm just very blessed to have landed here.
So you grew up in New York?
I grew up outside of New York City and right out of college and went into the big city and was a nurse, a bedside nurse in a huge hospital there. And I was a burn nurse for 10 years.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I was there, and then I kind of made my way into nursing administration
Mm-hmm.
and became like the infrastructure, the budget person, labor, negotiations, all that kind of stuff for years doing that in New York City. And had a love hate relationship with New York, obviously. You feel very trapped. It's very trapped.
Right.
And very kind of isolating. You would think, oh my god, there are all these people, but you really are very isolated there.
Right.
Um and lucky for me, an old boyfriend looked me up when I was 49 years old, and I was not in a relationship. We met, and he lived out here in Portland, and within 6 months I knew I was going to marry this guy, and packed up my belongings from New York and moved out to Portland.
Oh, what a beautiful story! That's awesome.
Yep.
It's interesting. I have talked to so many people, and I've found this myself even, where people from your past just kind of circle around and circle around and circle around, and you're like, wow, where did you come from, And it's kind of nice to pick up. Sometimes they come back for a short time, and sometimes they come back for a long time. So that's a beautiful story. In 2019, I spent some time out in New York area. I wasn't in downtown New York. I went through there, but we went into upper state and went to the falls. That was a big, on my list to do, and toured all of the states out east, which was like so nice. It was in the fall.
Beautiful.
And it was a beautiful time. And it's a memory I'll have. Do I ever want to go back? Yeah, my heart's in the West, okay? But I can actually say now I've been in every state of the union, which is really kind of fun. But yeah, it's a beautiful country that we live in. I've been in different areas of Canada, overseas, and every place you go has a beauty. And let's talk about that beauty for a little bit, because where you shine in your outside world is how you shine in your inside world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it comes from within first, and then you project out.
Exactly.
That's where the shift is within. It's all what they call now today mindset, but it's it's a deep knowing within you of the beauty of who you are, and making sure that you don't have distractions in the way of allowing the flower of who you are, Beverly, or whoever's listening to this, to actually have an opportunity to be who you are, and kind of lift out into the world. So surrounding yourself with people that can support you in that. But yeah, definitely.
That is so true, Dallas. You described that really beautifully. And how you perceive who you are, what you are, why you are, is where you're going to be attracted in the world. And even when you start to shift a lot of that stuff, because again, being that best you is all about what? It's about that growth, that personal growth, because every day there's something different, something better, something more. And when you allow yourself to be open to that, then you can really begin to discover who Dallas really is, right? Who Beverly really is. Right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You just come into yourself. We have my husband has a daughter who's 18, and you can see the major shift from 16 to 18.
Uh-huh.
If you look at your own transformation, from 18 to 22, and then 22 to 29, there are major openings of what is revealed to you, and what can you take into your psyche and process, and then who are you in relationship to the world, right?
Right.
Like, how are you going to react? How are you going to absorb it? And you're discovering yourself. And that's what life is all about. It's really discovering who you are and owning it and loving it,
Right.
loving who you are, because you really can't change the inner dynamics of who you are. I mean, there's certain things you can change, but really we all come in here with a different kind of code, if you will,
Right.
of how we approach the world. And it's really about, discovering who Dallas is and loving her, and doing what's right for her, and kind of like owning, okay, this is my destiny, this is the track I'm on, own it and be okay with it and not try to change it. you know I think too often, for me, when I was living in New York, I was always like, is this if it? I didn't like, I wasn't, I felt like I was on a hamster on a wheel trying to get somewhere, but I wasn't getting anywhere,
Right.
instead of just being okay with where I was at, and, pretty much trying to get to know who I was and why I wasn't okay with where I was at, that sort of thing.
Uh, Thank you for sharing that, because it is so true. And when you start to look at who you are, you have always been who you really are, right? And that's your identity. And I work a lot with identity, because I had lost mine in the early 70s when I got married, late in '69. I lost my identity in that first 4 years of marriage, to the point to where it actually put me to the edge of suicide, because this is, like you said, is this all there is, right? And it wasn't. And coming from who I was and all this vibrant rebel and you name it, all of a sudden I found myself with no identity, in a position that this was not my life's choice, right? And so things shift, and then you get these aha moments, and now you begin to, again, you discover who you are. So when you said, you went back and you discovered Oregon, and both you and your husband, were discovering each other at the same time, you're discovering this place where you live that you call home. So when you look at that, and I'm listening to you describe, New York, and then you're back here in Oregon, and how you perceive and have shifted within your own essence, right? And so kind of share with the audience how that journey, those trips that you and your husband took to discover Oregon, how it impacted your relationship with yourself and your relationship with each other.
Wow. you know, probably, what's so incredible is this man so loves me. There's something so magical about being so loved by somebody,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I was so scared to be loved by him when I was in my 20s. I was afraid of love. I was afraid to trust. And it took me a long time to be able to trust someone and love someone and have someone love me.
Right.
And so we've been together now, I don't know, 13, 14 years. But, the dynamic of the relationship was to, I think I came into the relationship wanting to change him. I wanted to change him. And I was trying to change him. And suddenly I woke up and I said, stop trying to change him. And the moment I stopped trying to change him and let him be him, our relationship improved 110%.
Sure.
And we could then enjoy each other of who we were and really trust that we're here to do whatever we can for each other to make our lives better for each other. And so we really came together in that way. So these trips of exploration out there was really, he was pleasing me because this is what I love to do. I love to explore. And he would say, I'll drive. I'll drive. Is that his greatest thing to do? Probably not. I think he's more of a city guy and prefers the city life. But he, just having someone wanting to do something that you so loved to be with you, is just so enriching to your soul and to who you are. And it just was, these adventures, and we get to these, destinations, and he say, where did you find this place? I said, I don't know. It was in a book, and we, got the map out. We went, and he goes, it's amazing what we are discovering here. So he opened his eyes to the beauty of nature. I think that he hasn't really seen until he, discovered, came
Right.
is with me. So, it's just, having an experience together of the wonder of the universe, right? In a different way that is not city-like, and just look at God's glory everywhere,
Oh
right?
my gosh, for sure, for sure. Yeah, it's when you describe that, it's so beautiful because it is true. Sometimes we get caught in these little boxes of familiarity, comfort, right? And this is where you want to stay because it's all predictable. I'm like you. I want to adventure out. I want to see the world because there is so much beauty out there. And when you can go off the beaten track, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the discovery. Because it does help you discover parts of yourself. And always being in nature is like so balancing and harmonizing and like, wow. And so it's nice to be able to, you have that give and take and that communication. So when you're in a relationship, whether it's a business relationship, whether it's friendship, whether it's partnership, it doesn't matter. It has to have an open line of communication. And there is a give and take, right? And when you can do that openly and lovingly, you discover so many different things, not only about what you're adventuring into, but about yourself that you didn't know, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So Dallas, you said you have a home business. What is that home business?
Oh, well, when I moved out here to Portland 13 years ago, it was during the last recession. And
Yeah, it would have been.
right? And I couldn't find a job. So there was only one of me in each hospital. So the chief nursing officer at the time of the biggest hospital system here called me in and said, everyone is not, they're not retiring. Nobody's leaving their jobs because husbands have been laid off and people have lost a lot of money in their 401ks. There is no jobs right now. So I said, oh my, and this was after 3 years of trying to find a job. Okay. When I moved here. So I said, okay, this is a blessing in disguise. I'm going to move away from crisis healthcare. And I'm going to go into what I'm fascinated about is the internet. And I'm going to teach nurses, because I was a nurse, right?
Okay.
How to build their businesses online. Well, what I discovered is I was teaching, I had a website called Nurse Ventures and everything, and there were no nurse entrepreneurs. There was like one, okay,
Wow,
back
okay.
then. So I, kind of made money, promoting other people's information. I got into network marketing. I got into Facebook ads. I was, doing things on the internet, but never really happy until I got a client who was a fitness coach and she wanted to build her business online.
Okay.
So I showed her how to do it. We did it. She made a ton, she started getting clients, and I decided I'm now all of a sudden 13 years later, coaching is a huge industry.
Oh gosh, it is. It sure
But none
is.
of them know how to build their business on the internet. Right? And now
Okay,
everybody
great.
has to have their business on the internet. You have to solicit clients. You have to figure out how to get clients on the internet. And you've got to you need to learn how to nurture them, attract them, be visible, and how to convert them into paying clients, and then deliver your content or your message or coach someone online.
Right.
It's all online. So what I do now is I teach coaches how to build their businesses on Facebook.
Wow. I might have to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Wow, she goes from being a nurse into an online business of teaching people how to do a business on the internet. That's crazy, but it's beautiful.
But there's a fun, any industry, there is a recipe, right? Nursing
Yes.
there's a recipe. It's a process. You bring someone in that has a problem, and they go through a series of things to get to the result. Right? There's a process, there's steps. There's a system. The same thing is on the internet. There is a system of how to build a business on the internet. So I'm good with process. I'm good with system, and I'm good with breaking it down into layman terms that anyone can understand. And I simplify it so people can follow what they have to do. And after the compounding of day after day after day of doing these things, all of a sudden they're talking to people and all of a sudden they get clients. So, it works. You just have
there
to
you
do it.
go. Bottom line, it works, right?
Right,
And that's
right.
beautiful because there's so many people out there today, especially now after 2020, that are doing things, but not really knowing exactly how to do it, and like you say, that process, because it's key how that process goes. You miss one of those steps, you're going down, right?
Or you don't. If
Yeah.
you go away on vacation for a week, our attention span, it goes. If you're not visible for a week, I'm going to go to somebody else because I need information. I need help.
Right. And you need it now. I need it now. I need
And
it
I
now. I
need
need
it
it
now.
now.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And
That's so true.
what before the internet, we knew that entrepreneurs had a 3 to 5 year. If you didn't make it in 3 to 5 years, your business was under.
Right.
I think it's faster now because basically the online social media world can crush you.
Oh gosh, like overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Back in the day.
The money out of you.
Oh gosh.
You're being taught by the wrong people, right?
Oh my gosh, you nailed me, because again, you're putting your trust out there and you kind of watch it, you do your due diligence, and then you're like, what the heck, And
Yeah.
and you only get so much, and then they, it's like, oh, you want that? Oh, that's 10,000, and you're like, what? Here you are trying to get to that point so that you can reach it.
You don't know you don't even know what you need. Basically,
In a lot of instances, that's true.
Of it. But in my program, we start from the beginning and we give the whole system. Everything is there. Basic fundamentals of which you can build from, and you can then take on more. But there's nothing wrong with what's missing for most people is the fundamentals
Right.
of how it works. Nobody understands how it works, but it's quite simple. It's a funnel. It's
Right.
like a kitchen funnel. You have to put a lot of people in at top for them to drop in and become your client at the bottom.
Right. Have you found in these probably 10, 12 years that you've been doing this, that the shifting, the way business is being done on the internet has changed a lot? So have you had to adjust how you create that funnel different than it was back then than it is now, or is it pretty much still the same?
It's the same. You'll see less long sales pages. You remember we used to read them. Oh, you were trapped into this like rabbit hole and reading a sale funnel, and you just kept going on and
Yeah,
on.
I would never do that. It's like, I ain't
Oh
spending
my
my day
God.
with this. Just get to the point. I'm one of these get to the point type people.
Right. Well, now they're much shorter.
Yeah.
Because everyone is like, everybody knows what's going on. So everyone wants give me, what are you selling? Right.
Right. It's
So
that
there's less
it's that
of
bullet,
that.
right? It's that
There's
bullet
less
point.
of that, but there's marketing has not changed depending on what platform we're on. If it was, TV or infomercials or print or internet or social media, the marketing structure and the formulas are the same.
Nice.
It's just how are you delivering it?
There you go. That's probably the key word right there, is the delivery of it. And you tapped on a good point there, the foundation. Because if you don't have a strong foundation, everything's going to collapse, right?
Right.
So
Right.
It's like building a house.
Right.
If you don't build it on a strong foundation, it ain't going to last very long, right?
Right.
So,
Exactly. So, if someone's going and the first class they're taking is something on how to write content, right, which are posts, which is paragraph, story. If someone's teaching you that, but they're not telling you what you're supposed to do with it.
You're so right. You're so right, because it is. It's all about the story and information. And so, I know a lot of speakers, and a lot of authors, and because that's who I interview. That's the lane I'm in. The summit that we just did the last 3 days, the Boss Up Health and Wellness Summit, right? What we actually did, oh my gosh, the leader we had, Tam Luck, was just amazing, because she did what you're describing. She built us the foundation. She told us step by step by step by step. Oh, you're stuck on this, how to on this step, let's go a little deeper, right? And then off we went. And so there was 16 of us, and we're all in this book, right? And all of a sudden it was launch day. We hit #1 internationally on, oh my gosh, I don't know even how many different categories. And we were, our PR, we were all over the media. It's like, wow, this is like really cool, and it never gets old being a #1 bestseller. I've been there, and this was like the first time all over. It's almost like giving birth, It's just like, wow, it's an adventure. And to do it with 16 beautiful women. And then we did this follow-up summit. I have been to so many summits. I've been in them. I've been to them, conventions, all these things, right? Big names that you're listening to. I can't tell you what I learned out of this last 3 days and the information. It was new, but it wasn't new, but it was delivered. Again, there's that key word, the delivery of it, and the shifting. But the impact was so powerful. You just didn't want to miss the next one and the next talk, the next. It was so beautiful to be able to capture that.
Yeah.
And have that experience, because every little tip from these other 15 was another way. It's like, oh my gosh, I can put that into my business here. Oh my gosh, I can stick that over here. Oh wow, oh, there's a missing piece. All these aha moments were so powerful, because you're not hearing the same information over and over and over in the same manner with the missing pieces, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the difference. That's the difference. And it sounds to me like this is what Dallas does. She makes sure that you don't have the missing pieces. And that is a wonderful place to be. And that's what makes you successful and makes you more successful, and why people want to come to you and follow you. And like you said, you need a coach. And this is one of the things that has been really stressed more over the last, let's say couple decades, right? Because it's like you're too close to your situation to see the trees, right? You're too close to the forest to see the trees. And it's like you can go out there and you can share with other people, and it's like give them that foundation, that funnel, the how-tos, and they listen intently, and they'll go out and do it. Poof, here they have this successful business, and you're like, wow, this is really cool. And they say, wow, thank you for that, da 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 da. And then you turn it around, and it's like, okay, now I follow these. How come? What am I missing in my own business to make it shine like this, right? There's just certain avenues on different elements of where your business is. And so having a coach, someone on the outside, see what you don't see, because it's just the natural thing. And usually it's those simple little things that you miss. And you tweak a little here and you tweak a little there, and pretty soon, voila, right?
And it's repetition.
Yes.
It's not once and done. You need to repeat it every single day, the same thing.
Yeah.
And so people, think that it's okay, I've got it in place, I don't have to do anything. People will come to it's like commercials. Why do commercials keep running? The same commercial on TV every night, the same My Pillow commercial, the same Progressive or whatever it is in your region of what you're being bombarded on, because they know it's the drip 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 on the conscious.
Right.
right?
Right.
It takes 18 times for someone to hear something before they kind of wake up and say, "Oh, you know what? I need that. I'm going to buy that now because now I'm like, oh, okay." You know, more less people will walk by a store and be impulse buyers. Okay, more people
Right.
need to be hear it over and over and over again before they say, "Oh my God, she can fix my problem." Or, "Oh my God, my problem is really getting out of control. I need help." Because a lot of people are stuffing their problems down and think there's
Yes.
no help for it, or it, they don't want it to, they don't want to deal with it. But if they keep kind of, you get them in front of you and you keep like agitating the problem, they're like, "I got to get this fixed
Yeah,
now."
exactly, exactly. Like you say, agitating. It's just like poke, 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 right? And it's like, all right, already. Now, who are
Yeah,
you?
why are you
Oh,
carrying that monkey on your back? Let's like liberate you.
right.
What's it costing you? What are the consequences? Let's free you of this. Let's take it, you out of this.
Right.
And there's so many different, there's coaches for everything nowadays, right?
Well, because there's everything that needs to get, that better you. If you fix these things, you become a better you. And you made a point where you said, the thought, what people are thinking, you know, nobody can fix what's going on, there's no help out there for me. It's like this is just like I'm the only one that has this problem, right? And we beat ourselves up. We suppress ourselves. Again, it's that perception that we have of where we are and who we are. And sometimes we're like afraid to speak
Well, we
what we
think we
really
should we
want.
should figure it out. We don't need help. We got to figure it out on ourselves. We got to have our own willpower,
Yeah.
right? And what I've discovered, because I am a recovering alcoholic, and thank God for the beauty of the AA program,
Right.
is that when you are humble enough and sick enough of the poison in your life, for me it was poison,
Well, every destructive thing that's going on with whatever it is that you're doing is a poison. That's a
yes,
very good description.
and it could be a relationship, it could be an addiction, it could be food, it could be anything, a habit.
Yeah.
So it's poisoning you. It's the flower can't bloom. You're being distracted by it. You're being smothered. I was smothered. There was no Dallas anymore.
Right.
So I was circling the drain. And so finally I said, I can't fix this anymore. I thought I could for 14 years. I knew I was an alcoholic in my back here, way back here, but I wasn't going to tell anyone, right? Because there was
Right.
shame around it. But finally I raised my hand and I said, I need help. And I got help. And all of a sudden there was liberation because I'm no longer being poisoned. And the beauty of Dallas could be, born again, but the flower of who I am came out, but I was finally said to someone, I need help. And that's what the humility
Yeah.
is for us as human beings. It's life is really a we life. It's a we do life better when it's us, not me. I was
Oh,
trying to do life by myself, and I'm going to fix me. I'm smart enough. I'm a professional. I went to college. Why can't I fix me? I've read all the self-help books to figure it out.
that's
Why
right.
can't I fix me?
Yeah. And you said it beautifully. You really said it beautifully because that's where we are. And we're afraid to ask for help because we think people are going to look down upon us, right? It's not a hand out, it's a hand up. And when
Yes.
you look at, I believe last year was an awakening time for people to start to step up to the plate and say, hey, you know what? The way it's been being done just doesn't cut it anymore. And, it's time to unite as a community. And what I'm seeing in the work that I do in the energy work and that field and where you are listening to you talk, is all about collaboration. It's all about unity. It's all about community. And when you said it's not about me, it's about us. And it is about us. And there is someone out there. Don't reach out to your family. Don't reach out to your close friends, because a lot of times they're the ones that are going to pass you by because it's the norm. What your activity and your actions are just the norm. Go to a total stranger and they're going to say, oh, you need help? What's going on? Let me see what I can do. Let me find someone.
Well, they're not invested. They're not
there you
invested
go.
in the change
Right.
of you. So a friend may not want you to change because that means they have to change.
Oh, you nailed it.
Or the other people try to suppress you because they don't want you to, be the glorious you.
Yeah.
So you definitely need an outside person to come in.
Right.
But I want to get back to the point what you were talking about. It's really in the story of sharing experience. When I sat in those AA rooms and I walked in and every single woman in that room was me, was a professional woman, and they were telling their experience of what it was like with the poison of alcohol, and there was hope, and they were 1 year sober, 10 years sober, 20 years sober, and I sat there and I said I could do this. It was through their stories that I gave hope. It's the stories that we share of how we transformed that have people say, I want it now, I can do this, I'm not alone, somebody has gone before me. And it's like what I'm doing for the next gal there is I'm leading the way and pulling her forward with me through my story. Like you said, it's by sharing our experience, strength, and hope that we can step into something other than what we are today.
Oh, wow, I got chills all over my body. Like, oh my gosh, it's so true. It really is true. It's the story and how you profess the story, because it does give hope. And that's one thing I said, with this show that I've been doing now for almost a year, and I've interviewed, I don't know, 400 or 500 people already. It's like everybody has that story, and if just sharing this, if only one person gets help, all of it was worth it. All of it was worth it.
Yeah.
And the feedback that you get, I've been getting feedback from different, clients, that have been on the show, who have gotten responses. And you're talking about alcohol. So one gentleman shared this with me. The show went off, and it was like 2 days later. He sends me this clip of what someone said in the comment. I watched your show, and I looked at myself, and I knew somebody cared. And that very next morning, I went out and I went and got help to stop drinking, to get back on track.
Get the poison out of your system.
It was like, wow. And he was ready to commit suicide the day he watched the show.
Yeah.
He was, that was what he was doing. He was just kind of wasting his day sitting there and clicking around on Facebook, and he saw it and he watched it.
But there are community groups for help. If we look back, AA started in 1935. Do you know that?
I knew it was a long time ago. Yeah, I knew it was a long time ago.
It started before World War II. Unbelievable, right? But community works. Churches work, book clubs work.
Yes.
Tennis clubs work. People do better in groups.
Yes.
Because there's camaraderie, and it's like we help people up, we lift people up. Mm-hmm. So any kind of group setting, or child abuse or domestic violence, if you need help in that, there are communities of people that have gone before you and that can share how they got themselves up and out of the poisonous situation, right? So you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
And I always thought, being an Aries, that I had to do it alone.
I don't think it matters what sign you are. It's kind of inbred in us. If you can't do it alone, it's like you're weak. Oh my gosh. It takes more strength to reach out than it does to stay stuck. And the more you drive yourself into the abyss, the worse it gets. You're talking about AA and the 12 steps. It just in life, if you want to, If you want to help yourself and you're still afraid to step out and ask, we have everything at our fingertips. All we have to do is go to Google or go to YouTube and type in da 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 da, right? So go find the 12 steps for AA and read them and start there, because it doesn't matter what's going on in your life, whether it's business, whether it's pleasure, or whether it's just I want to do something different. Follow those steps that AA put together. It's almost like the 10 commandments of the earth, you know? And
and there's only, out of the 12 steps, alcoholism is only mentioned twice in 2 of the steps, the first and the last. Everything else is designed for living, and that's why so many different organizations of help have transformed the original AA 12 steps into helping Narcotics Anonymous, or
Weight Loss Anonymous. There's so many anonymouses out there now that
we all have used that program of help because they see it works.
Right.
And basically it's showing you how to remove the poison in your life and then how to live without it, right? Because a lot of times any kind of addiction or destruction, like you in a marriage, you know, you've been so smothered for 4 years in a bad marriage or
Right.
a situation that you now are liberated, but you don't know what to do with yourself.
Yeah,
Right?
that is so true. Yeah. Now that I know more about me and I have all this cleaned up, it's like, but what do I do? Because now I don't know how to perform. Right.
Right.
You know,
You've been conditioned a different way for years.
yes.
The same thing, routine after routine that suppressed you, gave you no self-worth, no self-esteem. Now we've liberated you. Now what?
Yeah. Now what do I do with all this stuff? Right. That's so true. You know, it's almost like someone who has been imprisoned, right? And then they give you a little whatever, and then they turn you loose, and it's like, what am I supposed to do out here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You know, so again, it's that, I don't like this word, but the training. You know, how do we shift from one thing to another? It's that growth. It's like, it's a process. Like you said right from the very beginning, everything is a process. It is a funnel. Life is a funnel. You know, and when you know what the foundation is and you know all the different pieces and you begin to perform on those, but sometimes we really just need that additional help. It's like, okay, I know how to do it, but I don't know how to do it, right? It's that action step. It's that putting into action. And I think some of that is maybe a little bit of a fear. It's like, but what if I do it wrong? Yeah, but what if you do it right? You know, but then, and again, if you move right and wrong out of the way, there really is no wrong way to do it. There's only do it.
Do it. Right.
You know, just be a Nike and do it, right? And it's like, I share this with my clients all the time. If you don't take action, nothing happens. If what you do you like, continue to do it. If you don't like it, change it. Because
Right.
you have that choice. But if you just sit here in stagnation, nothing's going to happen. And you're going to miss out. Because if you're not living, you're dying.
Right. And so you know, it's, you know, okay, just move your feet, get in action. And then as you move, things will start to shift, right?
Yes.
See, you know, you have to have the vision of, you know, where you want to go. Sure. And then somebody can tell you, well, you do this movement. And the more you do this movement, all of a sudden the shift happens in your brain. I don't believe the shift first happens here. I think you have a desire to have it happen.
Right.
But until you keep moving in the direction of doing what it takes, the action steps,
Yes.
then you start to see the shift in your mind and your thoughts. And then you just become something that you envisioned.
Right. You had mentioned perfection, right? We talked about that earlier, just kind of touching on it. There is no such thing as perfection because it's always getting better, right? And so
evolving.
In theory. So we have all these theory things, right? And so we make up this goal, we make up this list, this is your theory, right? Well, when you start taking those action steps, theory kind of like poof goes out the window in a lot of cases, but you've got to continue to go through it. Stay focused on what the outcome is, right? And let the how come, and just start doing the actions like you just said.
Yes.
One step at a time.
Yes.
And, it's like Edison, what he did for the light bulb. 1,000 ways.
Right.
1001, all of a sudden the light came on. When people asked him, why did you keep on going? He said, it's like, it took you like forever. And he said, well, I just found 1,000 ways it didn't work. So when you're looking at life and what you're progressing and where you're going and what you're going to do, just do it. And like I said, if it doesn't work that way, try something different. Don't sit there and stew over it. And you're going to have the naysayers saying, see, I told you so, I told you so. And it's like, let that be your fuel to say, you just wait. Mark my words. It will happen. I don't know when and I don't know how, but you know what? It will happen. And then all of a sudden it does. So don't talk about it. Don't go on the defense. Stay on the offense, right? Don't lose track of what your outcome is. And don't pay attention to the naysayers. Let them be your fuel. And just keep on trucking, because all of a sudden one day the windfall is going to happen.
Right,
and
there's a shift.
Yay!
Yeah, and then you can turn around and bring the ones behind you.
Right.
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 Grab their hand and show them the way.
Right. And then
That's
be humble,
mentorship.
because when the naysayers say, wow, I never thought you could do it, but you did it. Just say thank you. Don't say, well, I told you so. Just say thank you.
Yeah, thank
Right.
you.
Right. So Dallas, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Well, I'm certainly on Facebook, Dallas Piona, Piana. And I have a Facebook group called Coaches Scaling Secrets. So if you want to get in there and learn how to build a business, I do a lot of teaching in there. And I do almost every other month, I do a workshop, a 5-day workshop on how to build a business online. And then I have a year-long program. So, if anything, like, if you're interested in that, if you're a coach, especially if you're a nurse coach, a health and wellness coach, that's my expertise, is showing you how to build a business online using Facebook.
Oh, that's awesome, because you know what? That's the day and the age that it is, right?
Yeah.
So comment below. Let us know what you liked about what Dallas shared here today. And if you forget her name, you don't have to forget her name, because it's right here. Click private messenger, go check her out. So Dallas from Portland, that's kind of funny. Dallas from Portland. That would be funny if you were from Dallas, right?
We used to live in Dallas when I
Oh,
was
see, there she was then.
Yeah.
Dallas, thank you again so much for joining us here on the show, and we wish you the best, and we shall see you in the world of internet, being that best you that she can be, because that's what the show is all about. So now it's our time to say goodbye. Go be that best you that you can be, because why? Dallas and I are going to be the best we that we can be. Thank you all for coming.
Bye-bye. What?